What makes a great email?
The subject line is so important when it comes to your emails. So it needs to be catchy. It needs to stand out from the rubbish that everyone is sending. Yep. So a way that I do that is adding emojis to the subject line, because everyone loves an emoji, obviously. And another thing to keep in mind is keep it short. Because if you have a huge long subject line, it's going to get cut off and people aren't going to read the whole thing. So the subject line, in a sense, is the first impression that you're sending people. So it's critical, because first impressions matter. It's critical that you sort of get the subject line, nail it on the head, pretty much.
Cool.
So then when we actually go into the email itself, a couple of things that you really need to be wary of is just imagery and brand. So across every marketing sort of activity that you do, you want to make sure that it's matching your brand guidelines, so that if someone opens your email and they click through to your website, they can see it's from the same company. You don't want to mix match your branding on your emails compared to what your website looks like. A punchy banner image, because that's the first thing that people are going to see when they open up your email. So making sure that it stands out and gives a little bit of information.
We got animated ones in ours, I think, as well, haven't we?
Yeah. A lot of our emails have an animated banner image, and that's all super simple to set up and super easy to do, but makes such a huge difference. Another thing is just having graphics throughout your email. So making sure that it's super engaging. You haven't got huge bodies of text. You want to have some really cool imagery in there to keep people scrolling. Another really cool thing that we add to our EDMs is our Instagram feed. So we're quite active on our Instagram. So it's just another point to show people how they can sort of get in contact with us or see what we're up to as well. So having that Instagram feed is really cool. And then finally, just your branded email signature. So you want to make sure that you close the email nicely, rather than just like a "Thanks, John." We've got an actual branded graphic. So with contact information, with a picture of John, so that everyone knows who's actually sent the email. And then the actual content, so the copy and things like that. So the pre-header as well as the subject line, is a great way to boost your email open rates. And that's another reason why you don't want to create super long subject lines. So when someone has a look at your email, let's just say on desktop, if your subject line is this big, you've then got this much room to do a pre-header text, sort of to entice them more to open up your email. So the subject line that we were just talking about before, when I sent the initial sort of promo for this webinar, so that was my subject line. And then my pre-header text was, I think it was something like, "Don't let this happen to you." So it sort of like leads into the whole point of the email in a sense.
Nice.
And then obviously content that provides tons of value. You want to give things away for free, basically. And it's really easy to do that. So it's through PDFs, it's through Excel spreadsheets, whatever sort of you can produce that matches your business, that's going to provide value to your subscribers. You want to plug that in pretty much all of your emails.
Cool.
Short and punchy. No one wants to read an email for 45 minutes. So the idea is the email is the intro into the subject, and then you would have a link off to a blog that goes into more detail, or a Zoom link to a webinar, whatever it may be. So make sure that the actual copy is short and punchy. That leads me into CTAs, so calls to action. So making sure that you've got people who land on the email, they go to your website, because then they can explore more, they can get more information, and they can get in touch. So making sure your emails are littered with a whole bunch of buttons so that people can go to wherever you want them to go is really important. And then finally, which has sort of like, it took me a while to sort of realize this, because I used to just write all of the emails that we used to send manually. Whereas now we just repurpose a bunch of content that we already have. So we're writing blogs every month. So we write this huge, massive blog. And then what I do is I take sort of the first paragraph in that blog and use that in my EDM, just so I'm not having to redo the work. So repurposing content you already have is key to make it less of like a manual task.
Here's an example. You want to just sort of talk through some of the elements here?
Yeah, so catchy banner image straight away. And then you can see the actual copy is short and punchy. I've got some really cool graphics in there. And Start My Journey is a button that takes them to our website. We're also talking about things that people might be interested in. So like a career at 5x5 on demand so that they can get more information as well. So that's a value add. So then you've got obviously our Instagram feed and then that signature as well, that branded signature. So that's the type of email someone would receive if they do one of our basic contact inquiries. So we let them know that someone will be in touch. But in the meantime, here's the more information. And how we sort of gathered what to include in that more information was having a look at the previous contact inquiries that we had. And then we figured out most people are asking about a digital solution. So let's lead them to complete our briefing form. Mm-hmm. Other people are looking for a career at 5x5 and others are looking for resources. So all I had to do was just create a block on those three things. And then it sort of gives them what they're asking for before we have to go and contact them.